Hello and welcome to the Big 12 Mafia Holy Rivals show. How you doing? I'm your host, Nathan Bomber Brown. After a very tiring weekend, we're back to you here on a Tuesday. Glad to talk some college football. If you've been staying with us, you know that we talk realignment. We talk about Big 12 and everybody else in their playing. And today, obviously, there was another release of the college football playoff top 25. No surprises or shocks in there. But we're going to go through the stories of the day, and we'll also review how we did on the weekend. So let's start with my co-host and partner in crime, the Wild Ute. How you doing, Ute?
I'm doing great today and tonight. How you doing, guys? You guys out there doing here? Who we got in the house right now?
Yeah, let's shout them out. Let's do that. Conundrum says, "Guess I'm early," so that's true. Timothy Green, let's go Big 12 Nation. He's got basketballs, footballs, and smiley faces there. Welcome to the show, Timothy. David Hackett says hi to everybody. And these are all the things he wants to see, right? Breaking news about the SEC, ACC, Michigan scandal, NCAA now investigating CMU. So lots of stuff going on.
All right.
Immaculate says good evening. I just wanted to get that in there. Casting for Chrome is here. Kaufman is here. BR should be happy and excited tonight in the house. He says, "Go Pokes, go Pokes, beat OU." Oh wait,
gosh,
you did already. Did that already. Yes, you did, and I hope you're happy about that. That was a fantastic game. Let's see. Kaufman says, "How are you tonight, sir?" He's asking you.
We had a conversation going on in there.
Okay, all right, good. Let's see here. Glenn Lumen, all the way from the Philippines. Good to see you, Glenn.
What's up, Glenn?
S. Reed is in the house, and I am sure you guys will make sense of this stuff tonight. We're going to try, S. Reed. We're definitely going to try. S. Reed is going to help us be a contributing member on those Friday night shows. I think that's pretty exciting. We have him come in and help us sort of make tracks with all the news that happens throughout the week, and we're glad to be doing that. Anybody else we want to say hi to? Eugene is here, another one of our paying members. He says everyone is talking about UW classic trap game against Stanford coming up. Really concerns me. The UW story will take care of itself. Need to focus on Stanford. That's a fact. It's Oregon State he's talking about, and they're going to have them in their house. So we'll see. They bushwhacked Utah, so there's no reason to say they couldn't do the same to the University of Washington. Opie Didon's here, and he says, "Howdy, fellow boot ball folks." Boot ball.
I love it.
I can't even say that. I can't even say those words.
Boot ball been very, very good
here.
to me. What's up, Opie?
Opie says, "Is Bomber okay today?" I think I'm okay. I feel good. Mike Smith says, "Looks like Dirty Sanchez is in the house this evening." Oh, Moen, how we doing?
I'm good. Feeling good.
That's it?
Feeling good, man.
All right.
Feeling good. I mean, I don't know what more you want from me.
Okay. All right.
The world.
Mike Smith says, "Big 12 Mafia show. I talked with other fellow West Virginia fans and would like to express that we were impressed with BYU Nation in Morgantown, carrying the West Virginia state flag, carrying on the field for country roads." Can I just tell you, this is going to be for always in the Big 12. Everywhere we go, it's going to be the exact same story. Every story is told the same, and it's always tip of the hat to the people that are the hosts. That's just what we do. And I'm glad to hear, though, get those good reports back. You'd rather hear that than not hear anything good at all. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Mike. See if there's anybody else new. Kenneth Evans is here. He says, "The quintessential T-shirt fan and box score reader is in the hizzle." I'm not sure what that means. Do you know what that means? And the Big Lubbock says, "Tech will beat KU this week."
Ooh,
I don't know. We'll see. That's the thing with the Big 12. Any given Sunday actually is any given Saturday. So that's good to have them all here. Let me get to introducing Moen and Immaculate. You guys, how was your weekend? How's everything going?
Well, we're good. We got ranked number 22nd in the country, and we have the absolute worst offense. So go Hawks. That's interesting.
It can be done. We know Utah's been doing it for a season.
Yeah, man.
Just proved it. I don't know how we got ranked 22nd, but it's hilarious, and we'll take it.
You like that? You like that 22nd ranking, yeah?
Absolutely.
We'll take it, I guess. I mean, if they get a couple more wins, they might make it into the top 15.
Very good. Now, Moen.
We're still ranked number 1, which is
Gosh.
not even the top 4 team, but we'll take it.
Okay. All right. I always chatty. Moen in the house. That's good to know.
Bomber, I'm not pleased with these rankings. I think they're completely bunk, actually. So I really disagree with how the Utes ended up 18 in the CFP.
Go tell us why.
The AP poll has Utah number 13. I don't know
Right.
why so many teams jumped Utah. I mean, we blitzed ASU. You saw it in person, Bomber, 55-3. How are you not going to move in the freaking polls once you beat a team down like that? I mean, the spread was 10 points. You blitz a team. I don't get it at all. That ticks me off, and I'm going to take it out of Washington this weekend. So
There you go.
Hey, look, you have every opportunity to put it on the football field, right?
that's right.
Yeah, that's how you win respect, is on the field. So Washington's they're at home. They have everything, all the indicators saying they should be solid and have a great week. But Utah makes people look bad. They've done it for a while now, and if Washington's not prepared, Utah's going to come in and punch them in the face, and they could take what they think is theirs, because they still have that title from last year. So it should be the game of the week. I'm not sure what's going on in the SEC and the Big Ten.
Penn State, Michigan. That's
Okay,
that's
so
a big
there you
one,
go.
I think,
Penn
yeah.
State, Michigan. What's going on in the SEC? Does Auburn or Alabama or
Georgia Ole
play
Miss.
anybody?
Georgia Ole Miss.
That's a good one.
Top 10
Okay.
matchup. Who does Alabama play?
I don't know. Week to week
Is it?
doesn't really matter.
Is it
Usually.
Tennessee this week? Is this the November Tennessee one? I think
I
it
don't
is.
know.
First
Yeah,
week in
from
November.
Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually called. I think that's the name of their rivalry. First week in November. So, yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's Alabama. And
So
Tennessee.
Washington will be the game of the time zone. Now, what time is the game? Do you know?
Yeah, it's at 1:30 Mountain Time.
Why do you guys got it? You should have made it a night game.
I'm not
with
picking these
SEC and
things.
Big
Yeah, it's
Ten
on Big
games is
Fox.
dumb. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the weirdest thing. But I'm telling you guys that the Utes aren't going to lay over and get beat down this game. This isn't like Oregon. Like we talked about before, there's plenty of distractions with game day a couple weeks ago. They blew our house off and everything. But this game, the Utes are focused, sneaky, and they're the back-to-back Pac-12 champs. They will not lose this game easy. I'm telling you, it's going to be a fight. And if Washington doesn't show up, they're going to lose this game. I'm telling you. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Let's get to a few more people before we jump into the recalling the way the weekend went. Outlaw of College Football says, how many more games is Con Time, Deion Sanders, and Sakazula Sanders going to choke away for the Con Time groupies?
These
Woo,
names.
ha, 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 ha. Okay.
Good stuff.
One thing that might be Ebonics, so I'm not sure what I'm reading there. But
No,
I
that's-
do know
that's
that
Outlaw.
I think this, like I said from the very beginning, he's going to have a short fuse there at Colorado. You get what you pay for there,
gosh.
and I don't know what's going to happen. If they end up 4-8, does he have the patience to stick around? That's the question nobody can answer.
And the recruits haven't come, Bomber.
I know.
They haven't
I know.
come.
Hey,
they got a
there's
small
a few
recruiting
that walked
class.
away. Actually.
There looks like they're stealing one of ours right now.
Are
They're
they?
flipping a kid from Iowa?
Yeah, it was a high-ranked offensive lineman that just rescinded his
Oh wow.
commitment
Well,
to
who knows?
Iowa, and he then had on his Twitter. He said, "Thanks for having me, Colorado." And I've been
Well, what's
joking.
interesting? Go ahead.
Go ahead. I've been joking around a little bit with some of the Colorado guys, saying you guys should go after Brian Ferentz, because they were looking for a new offensive line coach to get this thing going. I was like, you guys should go for Brian Ferentz. He's probably going to be your best option at offensive line coach. And now we have an offensive line recruit to Iowa who's flipping to Colorado. It makes me think I should have shut my mouth. But anyways.
Hey, who knows what happens, right? Because if anybody can recruit coaches, it's Deion. At least he says so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if for Ferentz, I think what he's going to have to do is go make a splash somewhere as an offensive line coach and then get up to the NFL.
Well,
as an offensive
BYU
line
needs
coach.
an offensive line coach.
And Bomber, hey, shout out to you too. Check this out.
Oh
guys.
yeah. So let's
Yeah.
talk about that game. So I don't know if you guys know anybody who's watching right now, but I was the hosted by the Wild Ute for the Utah versus Arizona State game,
Right.
which was fantastic. We had a great time and spent some time in. Tell everybody what we did.
Sure. We went to the Ute tailgate, met some of the tailgate royalty out here, and the Utah land. I went to the game. Amazing weather in November. It was in the 60s, which is unreal out here.
Yep.
We really thumped ASU pretty good and everything. And yeah, we even got out a little bit early to make Bomber happy to get him out of the stadium.
I just didn't want to walk home surrounded by 45,000. That's all I was saying.
It's all good. No, but it was a blast.
He was feeling targeted.
No, yeah. No, the Ute fans treated Bomber really good, though. I mean,
Yeah.
Good.
So I can't wait to, stop by Lavelle Edwards here, sometime.
Yeah,
next
we're going to have
season,
to do
right?
that. We're going to have a return trip,
Yep.
considering you've never even been there for a game.
Never.
That'll be
Not
exciting
once.
for me. So anyways, I want to say, Ute Nation, thank you very much for welcoming me in. Everybody that we sat around and ran into around the stadium and the food trucks was very, very kind. I think there were a couple that really didn't like me going in, but after we've met for a little bit, I maybe turned that around a little bit. So anyways, I just want to tell everybody I really had a great time. Thank you very much for letting me take your wife's ticket, Ute. And
it's all good.
it was a great time to spend with you.
Yep.
And then you got my towel, which makes me feel good. So Earl Carr says hi. He says, "Sup, my brothers, Wild and Bomber."
What's up?
OPD Don says, "I thought I was seeing Tony Lammy of Black Sabbath in the house in Moen's Place."
Tony
Tony
Iommi.
Lamb. Tiny. Okay. I don't know.
Tony Iommi.
Cleveland Rock says heart is still broken with K-State loss. Yeah, that was a bad one.
No.
That broke a lot of people's hearts, actually.
Uh,
Including Immaculate. He's still pissed about it.
Yeah.
So I think, and we just keep
Mhm.
going. So everybody, thanks for being here. Really
Mhm.
appreciate it. I can't say hi to everybody. I see Sergeant Pickles snuck in and under the gun. So good to see everybody here. Go ahead, Immaculate.
I was just going to say that's the one that gave me the worst record in our little pick'em.
Yeah, which hadn't happened all season.
K-State pulls all the way back to get 3 points down, and the spread was 4 points. So that's what we call a bad beat.
Man, Bomber's
So-
hot. Look at that, 7-1.
Yeah. So last week,
Look, yeah.
Are you
Oh.
kidding me?
ahead,
That's
Immaculate,
a
go ahead.
spread pick, guys. Like that's
Yeah.
unreal.
go ahead, Immaculate.
I was going to say, yeah, congratulations. You have taken over number one. And
Woo!
Holy smokes.
take your little victory lap here, brother. That was a good week for you.
It was. It was. Unfortunately, I had no money bet, so I didn't gain anything from it. But I had a lot of fun. I knew going into Saturday night I had done pretty well, but by the end of the night, I mean, I picked against BYU and I picked Utah, so that's probably the reason I won the thing. Anyway, Outlaw of College Football gives us $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Outlaw. He
Thank you.
says, Iowa defensive coordinator is coaching on championship level. Too bad for Ferentz. Can't let go of Slacker's son. If Iowa scores just 28 points again, they win a title. Holy cow. He's throwing
Well,
down some heat there.
Outlaw, the offensive coordinator, has been let go, but it was by the AD because of nepotism rules. So he is going to be gone after this year. And I do expect a whole lot of schools to be going after him as an O-line coach. And I'd even throw Alabama in that.
Wow. That's saying something.
He's won an award for the very best defense in 2016, and in 2017 or 2015 he was runner up to it, and they were
That
known as
is
O-line
awesome.
U. That's how he
Yeah.
got that position at offensive coordinators, because he was so
Okay.
good at offensive line.
Well, I'm impressed. I think that's fantastic. Yeah.
How many
Um,
points did you all score this weekend, Immaculate, after you let Brian Ferentz go?
10, but he's still there. He's still making calls for
Wait,
this.
he's still
through the end of
coaching?
the season. through
Yeah,
the
I
end
thought
of
he
the
was
there
season.
at the
gone.
end of the season.
No,
No.
he's
He's still
through the end of the
putting
season.
up 10 burgers.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was not pretty.
All right. Anyways, so quick review: 7-1 was me. Immaculate was 3-5. Moen was 5-3, which is better than his average has been. And Wild Ute came. I think you stayed. Were you 6-2 last week, Ute? I
Something
think you
like
were
that,
6-2
yeah.
last week. So 5-3, only a game off. Again, we are picking against the spread, which is pretty remarkable if you think about it. But it was a good week. Let's quickly run through the games themselves. Let me bring that up.
Yeah, that K-State game, I know a lot of people were giving crap to the Cats. I liked the aggressive play, though, at the
Right.
end, even on 4th down. I'm never going to fault a coach for going for it on 4th down. Like, just go for it. Like, and I think folks forget that once you get into second overtimes, then you
It's
actually
all
have to go
doubles.
for 2,
Yeah.
right? So you're kind of putting yourself in that position anyway. They're just kind of heading it off in front of it. So I don't have any issue with that. I love the aggressiveness rather than, like, missing a golf putt short. Like I just love, actually going for it, going for the win. So kudos to the Cats. I'm going to give them credit and stuff. And I think we all won outside of Immaculate, right? That game.
Let's take a look here.
Oh,
So
no, I lost. I
You
lost
lost
that
it, Mo?
game, but
you lost.
I'm gonna say this right now. I hated that call. Terrible call.
How so?
Your team was performing better on the field. You got within the 5-yard line and missed on 3 shots. You had 3 shots to get it in the end zone. You couldn't do it. At that point, you take the field goal. Your team's playing better than Texas. Take the field goal, move on, try and get into double overtime.
But Moen, when you're in double overtime, it's one play, a 2-point conversion each. So you're in the same spot.
That's if you score a touchdown. You could get 2 field goals in double overtime again. I mean,
I think that the new rules actually say then double. Maybe it's triple overtime.
It's triple.
Is it triple?
It's triple.
Okay.
But,
well, I still like it. Yeah, I mean, I guess everyone's different.
Everyone's different, but I'm just saying the way Kansas State was performing at the end of that game, put some faith in your defense to go out there and hold Texas to a field goal and try and go for it again on the second overtime. But look, I mean, Kansas State lost because of it.
Right.
But
They
Kansas
still beat the
State,
spread.
Kansas State was at Texas, so you're on the road. I'm not against taking that chance.
I am. The way they performed those first 3 shots within the 5-yard line, it was pretty obvious they were having difficulty at close yardage.
I don't know.
I've seen so many games in my life pooped away by a stupid kicker missing a short kick or something else. I just love aggressiveness. When I watch football, that's what I want to see. If I was a coach, I'd do that too. And so that's just a different approach and everything. I'm just not going to play conservatively and stuff when you're on the road versus a top 10 team. Like you just got to go for it. So there's just different, points of view. I understand yours though, like with the momentum and everything.
Yeah, unless you got an Iowa kicker, I get it. You probably don't want to trust him.
Okay.
Hey, go back to that super chat here. I think that.
Sure. I was going to come to it in a minute, but go ahead.
So Pickles says, "Hey, Wild, did you say Utes? By the way, Jello is not a salad. Go Dogs," he says. I'm telling you what, Pickles, like it's Washington, Utah week. The gloves are off. Seriously, you guys, I'm telling you, like you guys think this is going to be a cakewalk. Everything's going to get blowout, 10-point line. I'm telling you, this is a classic Utah football game. Like I picked this before the season. This is a game the Utes are going to win. They're going to win this game. It's going to be short. You're not going to like it. It's going to be ugly. We're going to get to Penix. We're going to move him out of the pocket. He's going to roll left, right. We're going to hit him. And we're going to get you guys. I'm just saying. So Pickles, just know it. And I'm saying it right here. Big 12 Mafia and Holy Rivals. Ute prediction to win.
There we go. He's calling it on a Tuesday. Man, putting it out there.
I'm sick of it.
I'm going to catch up on that pick. I like that.
All the Washington fans just think this is going to be a cakewalk. They're going to sleep through this. Like, we're the back-to-back champions. Like, we still have a chance to make the Pac-12 championship game. Like, there's a lot riding on this.
Okay.
I like the fire.
Yeah, I do too. Of course, I love hearing you talk like this. Before we get into the game by game really quickly, I want to encourage everybody who's new to the channel, please subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, and then turn on your notifications both on Twitter and on YouTube. It's a little bell, just click it. It'll let you know when every show is going on, and that way you can stay on top of stuff and you won't miss any shows. And it'll be a lot of fun to have you around and be with us. So if you do that tonight, do subscribe and then give us a thumbs up and a like, and then leave us a comment and suggestion. We use those for future show ideas. Okay, so Oklahoma State. All I want to say is, again, I had picked Oklahoma to win and get to the championship game in the Big 12. I don't know now with 2 losses if that's possible, but this game could have been won by either team. And I think both teams should be proud of the way they played. The referees on Saturday in the Big 12 and the Pac-12 were horrendous. Absolutely brutal. And so, a call here and call there. You can always play that game. But I tip my hat to both schools. Oklahoma State and Oklahoma played very, very well. And Oklahoma State just got it there at the end. What do you guys want to say about that game?
Yeah, go ahead, Moen.
Yeah, I will say this. I picked Oklahoma State because of the points, and they covered, but I figured Oklahoma would win. Oklahoma just didn't perform as well as Oklahoma should have. They had 3 turnovers, a missed field goal. I understand that the call by the refs was a bad call, which it was a bad call. I think it was pass interference, but you can't keep going back to that when you have a more talented team. You got to accept some responsibility, guys. It didn't all come down to that one play because there were so many other plays on the field that Oklahoma didn't make, and Oklahoma State did. So, got to give all the credit to Oklahoma State,
who I believe right now has the most momentum in the Big 12. Oklahoma State does. And if they win out and they beat Texas, they're probably not going to get anybody in the CFP because of it. But that's just the way it works. That's just the way it works. Anybody else, you or Mackie, want to say anything about that game?
I would say that was the most epic ending to an entire rivalry that you could possibly have.
Right.
Those guys that I've seen on Twitter right now that have been going at it back and forth, that's going to go on forever because they're not going to play again.
Yeah.
That call is going to be talked about forever in the state of Oklahoma, and it doesn't get any better than that.
That's very fair. You?
This is college football. This is why we love college football, because of this type of game. It's so sad to see it go away. It seems like redemption with Oklahoma State getting this win, given like the SEC move from Oklahoma and stuff, and like the ability to talk a little smack, for, I guess, forever.
Right.
It's what a game, though. It was nuts, emotional, turnovers galore, just like you knew it was going to be. The call is going to get all the guys, like, I don't know. I don't know what you guys saw with that. I mean, when I was watching with my wife, and we stood up and we're like, what? How did that not get called? He tackled him.
I mean,
but like, it's, there's calls. I mean, there's misses all the time. And so that one play is not going to dictate the game, like Moen said.
Right. I don't want to say that it was, underhanded, but someone might have looked up into a box office and saw Yormark going,
right. Like that call was so,
I mean,
man, remember the NFL, like when in that playoff game when like the one guy got tackled years ago and they had to change the rules and like for offensive PI or PI rules. That was like as egregious as that call was, I think.
Oh yeah, it was bad. It
like,
was bad.
but you know what? I'm super proud of like the Pokes and stuff, and like going and sharing a conference with them next year. Like that's awesome, and everything is a massive win. So
yeah, I agree.
Awesome stuff.
All right, very good. So tip of the cap to Oklahoma State. Well done. We talked about Kansas State, Texas a little bit. I have no opinion on that. Does anybody want to get anything else about that out?
The Cats are tough. The Cats are going to be very good next year, and and look out. Like they're always under the radar.
Yep.
So watch out for K-State, especially next year. Challenge.
It cost me first place. I'm not a K-State fan anymore.
Clemson Notre Dame was probably my pick of the week because I knew Notre Dame was overrated. So the Clemson beat down really made me feel good. Anybody else want to say anything about that?
God, who'd have thought?
I did.
I don't know what happened to Notre Dame.
Notre Dame's overrated.
This guy did too.
I think that they were at their peak much earlier in the season than everyone else. That their coaches got that team ready for the season, but I think we're seeing a talent cap that other teams are catching up and passing them, and I think that's what this game was showing. Right. And so I don't know if I can even pick Notre Dame anymore this year. I don't know who they're playing, but
Sam Hartman's been in the league for 22 years, and in those 22 years, he has not beat Clemson ever.
No, 0-5.
0-5.
He went 0-5
22 years. So that's why I picked Clemson, and I'm glad I did. Dabo Swinney showed them.
Yeah, I went a little.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I waxed a little the wrong way. I was like, he's going to win because he hasn't beat him, and now he has a better team. But I guess maybe he didn't.
Outlaw College Football gives us $5 super chat to ask.
Thank you.
Question of the day: does Mary Caleb Williams fingernails and the USC Skittle shitters lose out? Tulane rematch anyone? Okay, I can tell you right now, for one thing, that's one of the reasons that people were picking Notre Dame is because of that victory over USC. Now we see that wasn't so much, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anybody else want to add anything to that?
Look, USC actually played Washington tough until the end. I mean,
of course they did.
But once the most interesting part is once USC had to go for a punt, and they realized Alex Grinch's defense was going to come on the field, people started leaving the Coliseum.
I'm surprised they didn't go for it.
And they
on
were
that
tied.
one.
And they
I
were
know.
tied at that point, and people realized once the punt was coming, okay, Washington's just automatically going to score,
Right.
and we're going to be behind, and we can't
Yeah.
come back and win.
That's absolutely true.
So,
Yeah, what did you guys think about after the game when Caleb went and was hugging his mom and crying on her shoulder? Did you guys
think
see
it-
that footage?
I think it was
I did.
genuine.
Yeah.
I think
I
it was
mean,
genuine.
It's not a big problem. I mean, guys cry after big losses all the time. I wouldn't have run up into the stands and cried with my mother. Like, I mean, even she was trying to cover his face, and his dad looked a little awkward with it. And, you know, I don't think it's a big deal. But at the same time, it's just really not a good look. And I kind of wonder if guys that might be in the locker room with them in the future are looking at going, oof.
Right.
Might
Because you're
have
going to
cost
go
him-
to it. Because if you're in the top, if you're the number one pick, you're going on a team that loses.
It might have cost him some money. That's what I would say.
He's like a dichotomous guy. Like, so he's
So
painting his
talented.
fingernails and like painting F teams and stuff, like the biggest tough guy in the world. And then like there's this other side of him and stuff. And I realize like we're all humans and everything. But like, yeah, I just don't know who Caleb Williams is. Like, it's so confusing. Like, I'm not sure Caleb Williams really knows who he is too. Like, he's a really good athlete and stuff, but I really question his mental makeup in the pros. Like, everyone comps him to Mahomes, but Mahomes grew up in a locker room. His dad was an MLB player, so he grew up in the Yankees locker room. He knows how the mental side of the game goes. Caleb's really different. Like, I'm just not sure that Caleb's got what it takes at the next level. Mentally, physically, absolutely. But yeah, something to watch out for.
We'll have to see. Anyway, Outlaw, thank you very much for the super chat. We appreciate it. It was a good laugh, and those are fantastic words. I do have I have down bad Jets picks from last Friday too. We're going to go over at the end, but let's quickly get through the rest of these games. Let's see, Arizona State, Utah. There was nothing to talk about there. Utah, once they lost their quarterback in the first 10 seconds of the game, it was over. It was probably the most one-sided football game I've ever personally seen that was in college. I saw one in pros once, but there was nothing to talk about. I mean, do you want to add anything to that?
Hey, you're welcome for the experience, Bomber.
Yeah,
sure. That's how you dominate another in-conference opponent right there.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Didn't bother me at all. Let's see, Kansas, Iowa State, Immaculate. Moan, you want to say anything about that one?
Yep. Kansas is a better team than I thought in that game. I mean, I got that one wrong too. But
don't pick against Kansas. You lose. That's what I found out.
That backup quarterback of theirs, he probably should have been their quarterback all along.
Bean.
Imagine if that guy had been getting first team reps all along. Yeah. I mean, he's faster than Daniels. He's got a better arm than Daniels. It's just Daniels is more elusive. That's it. Yeah. This guy is better in maybe every other way.
Yeah, Moen, you want to add anything to that? Just on target. BYU West Virginia was a beatdown, an absolute beatdown from the jump. West Virginia was hyped up. I don't know what adrenaline pills they took before the game, but they were all over the field, pushing running backs into end zones, picking up defenders and moving them. I mean, it was as one-sided as I've seen a BYU team handled in a long time. It was more one-sided than Texas. It was more one-sided than Kansas earlier in the year. I'm concerned where BYU is right now. I like their backup. Jake Ratzlaff is a great backup quarterback. I thought he played well. The problem wasn't the quarterback. It was the rest of the team and the fire. You guys want to add anything to that?
Yeah, brother, if they're taking pills in West Virginia, it ain't adrenaline.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know.
All right. Yeah, maybe that's true. I don't know.
Oh, jeez.
It was sad though. I hate turning off games at halftime.
You want to see a West Virginia mating call?
Oh, no. Wow.
Okay,
I went
put
there.
those fentanyl pills away.
I went there.
Fentanyl away.
I went there. I live in Appalachia. I went there. I ain't saying it's any different.
Wait, you went to West
Appalachia,
Virginia,
Ohio.
Moan? Yeah.
I live about an hour from West Virginia.
Oh, gotcha. Cool.
Look, I like West Virginia. Don't be doing that to them. That's
I like West
dirty.
Virginia too.
I love West Virginia. All the guys that have been
Mike
fans
Smith
of mine
just
on
answered
Twitter,
someone
That's
just
what I'm
called.
they know.
That's what I'm saying. Mike Smith.
What's
cracking
Mike
up.
saying?
He says someone just call.
All right, here we go.
Well done.
We'll move on.
I
To
was just going to say this.
Go
I'm
ahead.
going to have a hard time picking BYU in the future, man. What's going on here?
We'll find out on
like
Saturday.
they have-
I don't know what
It
to say.
seems like two different teams so far this year.
I don't know what to tell you. They might
can-
not win a game the rest of the season.
My thoughts
we'll have
on
to
that is I think that it's a depth thing, Bomber.
Yeah.
I know
I-
you said that at the beginning of the
Right.
season. I realized that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, and
I
that
still thought
catches
they'd
up to
make
you
a
late
bowl
in the
game
year.
though.
They might. You
Yeah, I mean,
you beat Iowa State this weekend.
It's Ohio State's coming in hot. I don't know. I mean, it is a night game. I know people make fun of that, but the stats don't lie. They do play better, and they're at home, which for a fact they play better at home. You've seen that yourself.
Mhm.
So we'll have to see. I'm excited for Saturday, but I'm also trepidatious because if they don't get Iowa State, I don't think we have a chance at Colorado Oklahoma. And then Oklahoma State right now looks like they're world beaters. So next year, I wish this year was the playoff because I think if Oklahoma State got in and Utah got in, there would be some fantastic round one games.
Yeah.
I'm talking blow the doors off round one games. It just sucks that they couldn't get that
We'll
done
get
sooner. All right, LSU, Alabama. I got nothing to say about this game. Do you guys?
Alabama's better than we thought.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Alabama's probably the best team in the country right now.
Oh, here we go. Here we go
I
again.
thought, what about your Ohio State
They
Buckeyes?
don't have a
Mo?
quarterback.
Look, Alabama has what I love, and that's offensive line. They're back to playing old Alabama football. But I don't know if I'd say they're the best. In fact,
You put
I don't think they're gonna beat
Alabama
Georgia.
and Georgia on a neutral field today. I think Alabama wins that game.
That is crazy talk.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not possible. They could
is
beat Georgia.
crazy talk,
It's
Mullen.
college football, but I wouldn't put my bet on that.
I still think Georgia's number one. I know Ohio State's number one right now, but I think Georgia's
mean,
a better team.
Ole Miss might beat Georgia this weekend. Who knows?
We'll have to see.
Ole Miss is going to get absolutely demolished by Georgia.
I think Georgia wants to make a point.
If Ole Miss wins, it'll be because it was a shootout and they just barely had more points, and because Georgia doesn't have their tight end, they may not be able to keep up. But
right.
Ole Miss doesn't have much of a
There's
defense.
a lot of chatter for Ole Miss, it
Mullen.
seems like lately. So
So riddle me this. Alabama and Georgia ended up in the championship game again, right? For like 12th year in a row, something like that. Alabama wins. Do both of them get into the playoff?
It's going to depend on a whole lot of other things, Bomber. Does Florida State win out?
Yeah, but isn't a one-loss Georgia better than an undefeated Florida State?
No.
gosh.
No.
There's a
Nope.
there's a
I don't know.
problem.
Undefeated teams are always going to get in over one-loss teams.
So if Georgia beats Alabama, they have two losses. They're completely out.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
absolutely.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to follow your logic, right?
But let's just say that the SEC title game is not at a neutral site. It's played in Atlanta.
Well,
I know they consider it a neutral site, but come on.
but aren't they like within an hour of each other for driving time? I mean, it doesn't take that long to
They
get there.
split the tickets up though for each school. I think it's
I
equivalent.
mean, Georgia's won it many times there, so it's not like I'm sorry, Alabama's won it many times there, so I don't know that makes a difference with the location.
If Alabama wins that and Texas also wins out, I know the SEC guys in chat are going to jump me hard, but the SEC might get nothing. If Alabama
You think
beats
Texas jumps a one-loss Alabama?
Texas is already ahead of an Alabama because they beat them. They're
Yeah,
one
but
spot-
that would
Texas
mean
wins
Alabama
out.
had beaten Georgia.
yeah,
That
and
would
Texas beats an Oklahoma State in the
yeah, if Texas won out in the Big 12 champions versus
Man, I don't
Yeah, it'd
know.
get low.
because they beat Alabama head up.
We're gonna spend more time on this than tonight. But I think we got some interesting matchups there. Sergeant Pickles has got to go, but he left us a message. He says, "Got to go all. At least I can buy a keg. Go Dogs." All
Okay,
right.
so you can't buy kegs in Utah.
Yeah,
Good one,
they're-
Pickles. You can't buy. So if you want a keg, you got to go up to Idaho and bring it over the state border.
Can you get the
All
tiny
right.
kegs?
All right. Anyway, I appreciate
What a
everybody
kegs
being
can't
here
go
for
either.
that. That was a fun rundown, really quick. Down Bad Jet. His picks were Oklahoma State, Texas, Clemson. Let's see. Roughs up Rudy. Let's see. Salt Lake, which is Utah. Kansas. He picked BYU, which is obviously a loss. He picked USC, which is a loss. And then Bama covered, right?
Yes.
So I think he went 6-2.
Wow,
Jet.
nice.
That was really good. Picking against the spread, that's extremely hard to do.
We'll have to keep him out of this race.
Bring him to Vegas.
I'm inviting everybody on Friday was when we do our picks for the weekend. If you're here and you will DM me your picks, I'll review them just like I did there with Jet, and we'll try to give you some recognition for picking against us on this paddle, who are all a bunch of idiots, and we don't know anything about picking games. All right, a couple other things. Becky Go Huskies says UW is 13-2 all time versus Utah, and 7-2 versus Whittingham. So
I know the Husky fans are really, really rubbing it in this week. I'm telling, hey, you know what? Hey, Washington's the greatest team of all time. This must be the number one
what
team.
you should
I'm just
do.
saying, this is the best team. I don't think we even stand a chance.
That's your best option, I think. I do.
We'll
I'm
see
a
on the
Washington
field,
fan,
Becky,
obviously, so I care
Pickles,
about
Becky,
Washington.
Mike, and everybody else have been thrown. Come on,
Right.
We'll see you in the field.
All right. Well, Friday, maybe if everybody will show up for our show, maybe we can have some side bets or something. That'll be interesting. We'll have to see. All right, let's get to some news. I know Utes got to go, but we got a couple things that he was involved in today on tweets. Let me first bring up. Let's see here. Real quickly,
Harbaugh.
let's talk about problem with suspending Jim Harbaugh. This article, by the way, this is a preview. This article had a contributor by the name of, I'll make sure I get his name right.
Mitt Winter.
Let's see. It's Mitt Winter, and he's a legal analyst. He's gone through. Here he is. Here's his name. And he's going to be on our show tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern. And we're going to talk about the NRLB or NLRB legal argument that says NIL should be unlimited and maybe you should pay players and give them insurance. He's an expert in that. And so I'm previewing that for you guys. He's going to be on the show tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern. And I really encourage everybody to come because we're going to be breaking some stuff really detailed down on what is really involved with all these legal disputes in college football right now. But anyway, this article basically says if you suspend Jim Harbaugh, what's to say you couldn't turn around and suspend Ryan Day? You couldn't suspend because this sign stealing thing, it has tentacles all over the place. So I know you've talked about Jim Harbaugh, in passing. We've spoken about whether he should be suspended or not. What should happen to that team? What do you think?
Did he cheat? Let me ask you guys a question. Let me ask the audience a question. Did he cheat? Did he do something illegal based on the rules? Please answer that question. That's actually the question. Did he cheat?
Okay, I need a stipulation. Do I have to answer this based upon what I think and what I think I know?
Based on the rule.
Or based upon just like what can be proven?
Based on what can be proven. Did he cheat?
I think they're going to have a very hard time proving it because Connor has shut his mouth and taken the check.
I think that I think that they could get there. I think there's a preponderance of evidence to.
It's all circumstantial, though, right?
Circumstantial?
Yeah, because they don't have no. Well, it is circumstantial because they don't have anybody that actually has attested.
Yeah, they don't have subpoena power either, so they can't make someone talk.
I mean, they don't have a legal challenge because it's not against the law; it's against a rule. So
is Jim Harbaugh the leader of the Michigan program? Has he benefited from the cheating at the lower levels, tentacle levels? I'll say yes. This man's to blame. He's a leader of the program. How are you not going to hold leadership accountable? That's unbelievable.
Something will happen.
Leadership accountable.
Something will happen, but
not a suspension. He needs to be fired. Fired.
He's gonna get
suspension.
suspended.
It ticks me off just to talk about a 2-game suspension when they freaking cheated for 3 years. They got to the playoff last year. They had a guy that's gone to over 60, probably 100 games with 60 plus associates. Like, why do we have the head in the sand, guys? Like, can't we just call it for what it is? They flat out cheated. They shouldn't go to the playoffs. Should be bullpen, and he should get fired. Like, straight up. If I do that in my job and I get caught cheating against the rules, I get fired. Harbaugh needs to get fired. I'm so sick of this. Like, why are we playing with kid gloves on this?
So my heart says, and I know Moen's just chewing on his cud down there, so I'll let him talk in a second. But my heart tells me that yeah, they did. They went against the spirit of the rule and the letter of the rule, and I think that they did cheat to get an advantage to win games. That's my heart. I've served on a jury before where I had to convict a guy who punched a security guard even though he was defending his kid, but it was against the law. So he had to be punished for punching the guy, and then the guy would get in trouble for harassing the kid. So guilty people get off all the time, and innocent people get accused and put away all the time based on these circumstantial evidences. And I just don't know how somebody that doesn't have a legal authority to prosecute anybody, no legal, like can't subpoena anybody, they can't force people to testify. How can they turn around and enforce anything? I would love to see them
It's
get
tough.
put the hammer, but I just don't know how that happens.
I see if Stallions is guilty, then Harbaugh's guilty. He's the leader.
Okay.
He's the one who hired him.
I think
He's
he
on the
knew
staff.
about it.
The whole
I think he
Michigan
knew about
entity
it.
benefited. The whole Michigan program benefited from Stallions.
Yeah, but you're talking
cheating.
about a top 5 school in all of college football that has power outsized most governments.
I'm just talking about on principle.
I understand.
And like I feel really passionate about this because like it's like we've talked about before. What's this going to open up if there's no punishment here?
I
Like
agree.
why wouldn't I just cheat? Because like I would just cheat to the max because you can win games, build your brand, and be versus like having no implications at all. It doesn't make any sense like why this whole program wouldn't absolutely get through the ringer for what they've done. Like there's no justification on the other side for it. Like the only thing that somebody could say is, oh, everyone's doing this. And like, we just haven't proven it yet. Okay. If we can prove that, then they should be fired as well because it's against the rules and clearly against the rules. And they benefited from it. And like this, like there's a playoff berth. Alabama was the 5 team in the nation last year, got left out of the playoff. I'd be so ticked off from Alabama right now because Michigan benefited after they've stealing signs and they got in the playoff. Like they could have stole a championship from Alabama based on their cheating. So I don't know how people aren't more upset about this. Makes no sense to me.
Just a counterpoint to me, though, Ohio State has known about this for years. They went to the trouble of changing their play calls so that they wouldn't get stolen. They played them last year. They played them in a championship game before. I'm sorry, in a leading game for the conference before. They didn't, at least as far as I know, they didn't run to the police and say, put them out.
Well, yeah, if you're speeding, I'm not going to turn you in. But if a cop catches you, then you're going to get a ticket. And Michigan's got caught. They got caught, and they have to deal with the repercussions, and they've benefited massively in almost every facet, in recruiting, and exposure, and playoff berth. They need to get hammered, guys. That's how I see it.
Okay, Moen.
Well, one, the byline here: revelations of rampant sign stealing. Sign stealing is not against the rules. You can steal a sign in a game. You can make a note of a sign that you see on video. The problem is on game video. The problem is Michigan's dealing with advanced sign stealing, which is against the rules of the NCAA. Whether or not it's against the rules of the Big Ten sportsmanship policy, we'll see. From everything I've heard, what Ohio State and Rutgers did for Purdue is not against the Big Ten's rules. In fact, they specifically reached out to the Big Ten before they did it to make sure it wasn't against the rules.
Catch everybody up so they know what you're talking about.
So what happened is someone provided a document to Michigan that showed that signs were taken from Michigan. Ohio State took Michigan signs during their game. Rutgers took Michigan signs during the Rutgers-Michigan game. They gave them to Purdue prior to the title game last season. Again, before they gave them to Purdue, from what I've been led to understand is both of them contacted the Big Ten and said, is this against the rules? And the Big Ten said, no, it is not against the rules. So it's a false equivalency that's being put out here by Michigan PR. They want to say this is equal to what we have done. It is not. It is not equal to what Michigan has done. Michigan has engaged in a vast conspiracy to steal signs by buying tickets at games and having people record signs from the sidelines. Completely different. They're not equal. Harbaugh is responsible, whether he knew or not. You're the coach of the team. You have to be. It's no different than Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern this offseason.
Right.
You have to be responsible for everything that happens on that team.
Very fair. I posted the link to that article, by the way, just so everybody has it in the comment section. You can read the article yourself. Go ahead, Ute.
Well, I'm just going to say that if the Big Ten doesn't step in and deal with this in an appropriate manner, then at least I'm not gonna watch the Big Ten championship or the college football playoff if Michigan's in. I'm boycotting those, and I'm gonna make it and start tooting the horn for whoever wants to listen that hey, they should do the same, because that's just unacceptable to bring Michigan into the playoff. I would be so ticked off if our sport lets that happen. It just seems it's moving that way. The water's getting more muddied and stuff by Michigan PR and stuff, trying to blame this and this, drag this out. If that happens, then people just need to shut it off and just hit them where it counts.
That's if they get less than a 3 rating or something, that would be huge. David Hackett, one of our paid members. Thank you, David, for being here. One of his comments is, my question, where did the money come from to pay for tickets to games for sign stealing? Did Michigan AD know about funds used for this scandal? And heads should roll from top to bottom.
Absolutely.
Vacuum sales.
I think
NIL vacuum sales.
As far as I'm concerned,
that story that just came out today has been funny.
I would love to see him get in trouble and the school be banned from playoffs for 3 years or something. I would love to see that. I just don't know that it's going to happen.
It seems to me, just by what's going on, that they're just trying to kick this can down the road for the end of the season so they can make the playoff, try to win a championship before they get any type of penalty.
Yep.
We can't let that happen. That's what they're trying to do.
And Harbaugh's probably leaving at the end of the year.
Right. And so this is what
I think so.
Thinking, let's just win a title and this thing can crumble after.
He is going to get hit with something. How much? I don't know, but it'll probably all kick in next year in the offseason.
Moen?
Yeah, he's gone at the end of the year. I think everybody knows that. Whether he goes to the NFL or retires, or he's gone at the end of the year. So the reason they're fighting so hard against this is they want to lay claim to a national championship before it gets vacated. And then they can always argue that it was an unfairly vacated and all that stuff. This is their best chance to win a national championship since 1997. So they're going to fight tooth and nail to try and save that whatever way they can. They don't care if it gets vacated later on. They want to be able to print that merchandise that says Michigan National Champions 2024. That's right. That's all they want to do.
I agree. Okay, this next post is a tweet from Wild Ute. You want to explain to everybody what this is and why it matters?
Yeah, with all the smoke surrounding the potential looming departures of Florida State, UNC, Clemson, and Virginia. And Peek Around the Corners has talked about this. The smoke is just building and stuff about a potential exit at some point in the future. I think that we all see the writing on the wall that this is going to happen. And, I was kind of curious, where do people see conferences moving? If the ACC loses those programs, I have personally a hard time. I know that some folks disagree. I know that some folks on the panel disagree too. I have a hard time seeing the ACC be considered like a power autonomous level conference if they hemorrhage teams. So in my mind's eye, I'm thinking that we're probably moving to 3 super conferences, and the Big 12 is going to be one of those 3. When the Big 12 gobbled up the pack, that was determined. And the question was, how big do these conferences get if there's 3 super conferences? And so threw the poll out there, and most folks think that 20 schools each. So that would mean that would be 60 schools, in super conferences and the autonomous or power level. So there'd be a lot of schools actually left out, but that'd mean there's 10 more spots available in the SEC, the Big 10, and the Big 12. And I kind of see it that way too. I voted for 20, and I think that we're going to end up with 3 20-team super conferences at the end of the day. But just wanted to kind of see what other folks were thinking about this. I was curious about it. And yeah, that's where, 24 or 20 is really where the chalk is on that.
Were you surprised by the outcome?
Not at all. No, I thought that it would be 20 to 24. Like 20 kind of makes sense and everything financially. You could still get big time contracts and everything. You could create like a pod, 5-team pod system, like, and you could have an internal playoffs and stuff. So I think 20 makes a lot of sense. I think that's where it's going for sure. And I think there's going to be a lot of schools cut out, though. I mean, if we're talking about 3 super conferences, there's 60 teams in that, right? And right now in the P5, we've got 69 or 70. And now that we've got SMU joined, so there's going to be 10 that are unfortunately left out. That's kind of how I see it shaking out. But curious on Immaculate, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'm a little different on how the ACC goes, but I think worst case scenario for them, they could become, like you're saying, which would be viewed as less than a power conference. They're still going to have quite a bit of political power based upon some of the schools that would be there. So I don't know if they actually would drop out of the Autonomous 4. But I could maybe see them in the CFP in the future, however that goes, maybe not get power conference status in terms of payouts. I tend to think there was going to be an A4 and a G3 in the end. Right now, the way this is going, I do agree with the 20, but that might go up again in the future. These legal ramifications that are going on right now, especially the one with the all previous athletes being able to be part of a class action against the NCAA for money that they should have earned in the past via NIL that they weren't allowed to do.
How do you prove that? That's a question I have for Mitt is how can you possibly put a value on what that would have been?
They put an NIL value on every single player as it is right now, and they'd probably just do the same thing and go back and look at it and say, this person, this
sounds like reparations to me. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, in the end, it's just basically there's going to be a big pot of money that former athletes can probably come after, and someone's going to have to step up and save the NCAA. Otherwise, this could bury it. That one alone. Then there's other ones like the employee status. These things, while they might be boring to most folks, they're kind of boring to me. They are going to pave the way for this. They are going to end up deciding how this eventually goes. If the Ivy League can no longer have no scholarship athletes because of the employment status or whatever, they might have to do some things that would have never been thought before. So to me, I think this is pretty good. And I even told you that I like this. I disagree a little bit on the ACC, but I do believe that the Big 12 is going to raise its status to some degree as well through this process.
Really quick before I ask Moen, I want to be on record to say I think the players should get as much as they can as quickly as they can. I mean, old players, I mean, current players. I think they should all make a ton of money, in my opinion, because football, as we saw this weekend, especially in pro sports, football, you're one hit and you're out. BYU lost 2 receivers on head-to-head hits with helmets that, 1, weren't flagged, and 2, put them out of the game. And who knows how long concussion protocol takes over. It's a violent sport. And I think high school players should get money for doing it. So I definitely think it was just a matter of where does the money come from, and then how is it dispersed, and what's that value look like? Does a QB in college, just a third-string QB, make more than a starting offensive lineman? How do you equate that? Who puts that together? Those are really complex questions. I just don't know how they're going to answer it. Moen.
This is easily resolved by making all student athletes conference employees. And that's where you're going to end up at. You're going to end up with the NCAA is going to be dissolved. These conferences are going to put together a new governing body that they all agree to. And every conference is going to use conference employee status to start paying players a revenue share.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking
I do
about
think you end up.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. But I still think we end up with 4 conferences, not 3.
Okay.
How big do you think those conferences will end up?
They're going to be varied. I think the Big Ten ends up at 24. The SEC may only go to 20. The Big 12 might go to 20.
They might go to 24, 20. The Big 12 might be the biggest because of basketball schools as well, eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, basketball only members.
I just, I want to say this, and we've said this many times, we need to keep repeating it, as a supporter of the Big 12 conference, and Bomber, you and I know this, the stature needs to grow for the Big 12.
It does.
If we're going to be seen as a peer to the Big Ten and the SEC, y'all, we're not there yet. I think everyone can admit that. Look at finances. But like, if you get a Virginia Tech, if you possibly have a chance at a Miami and NC State and Pitt to add rivalries, that lifts your stature. So any Big 12 fan out there, like, I mean, we need this. We need to expand eastward with these ACC schools to lift this conference to make it what it could be. So just something to think about, though. It's much needed.
Bill G. Bill, you need to be here for the show tomorrow night when we have Tim on. He's going to address exactly what you put here, which is I think it's doubtful the class action will succeed. This isn't the first time something like this has been attempted. No, it isn't the first time it's been attempted, but it is the first time that they're getting some positive rulings. So it might not be the way that you think it's going to be, but a class action, I think
the last time they tried it, the motion to dismiss was granted, and this time it was denied. I do believe is the difference.
Yeah, well, that's true. It was. That's right. All right, one more. Let's see here. We talked about this a little bit, and we're going to talk about this tomorrow more with Tim, but this NLRB and all these rulings and everything that's going on in college football right now, is it distracting people from really what's important? And that's the games on the field. Are we getting down some rabbit holes that are drawing away attention from the games? Because I'm starting to feel like maybe it is.
I think it is. I think that, but here's my thought. Like, there's a lot of chatter about it, but I think most fans just can't stand talking about this. Like,
right.
It's really hard for people to digest. Like, these college players are multimillionaires. They're getting a lot of, that we should be funding, these guys. Like, we should be essentially paying for their contracts and commercial businesses and stuff. While we agree with that on this channel and stuff, a lot of people don't like to talk about it. A lot of people get ticked off even bringing it up. So while there's a lot of chatter in the media and stuff, and it's completely irrelevant, it's massive news, I think a lot of fans are just going to throw that aside because it's not fun to deal with. So I don't know if it's super distracting from that way, from the media's eye, from the importance, magnitude, change of the game. It's huge, though.
I think that's very insightful, and I think there is something to it. I think it's becoming numb.
Yeah.
People are starting to become numb to all of this. You're taking off. I know that you have to go. You have family commitments, but just let everybody know you can stick around after Ute leaves. We're going to talk a little realignment for about 20 minutes or so. So if you want to do that, that'd be great. Ute, what do you want to say on your way out?
Hey, looking forward to the game this weekend. I'm glad that you got to see Rice Eccles last weekend, Bomber and everything. So many stories going on. I mean, we could have a show for like 6-7 hours straight just talking.
We really could. We ought to set something up to see if we can get some of those people to come on the show with us. That would be fun.
Right. And like in this Michigan thing, like I know that, everyone has their thoughts about it, but it's such a big deal. It's massive and everything. It's the biggest story going on right now. And with the changes in legislation, awesome time to be a college football fan. I love being a part of these communities and stuff and being able to talk about it with you guys and everybody out there. So much appreciated.
All right. We'll see you later, Ute. Have a great night.
Take care, guys.
We'll talk tomorrow.
Have a good night, man.
See ya.
All right, Immaculate. You wanted to talk realignment for a few minutes here.
Heck yeah. I would say to what you guys were saying, it absolutely is affecting things. And this would never have been allowed in the past. Whenever we get close to the season, like generally like around August, all realignment talk would just cease. No leaks to any media, nothing. I've been following this for over a decade, and that was standard. This year is different. And that tells us that the timeline that everything is operating on is running out. And they don't have time to wait till after season to pick all this up. Look at how much has happened just during the season. So we're in crunch time. That's what it tells me. And yeah, it is distracting from the game. But in the end, I think it'll be better. I mean, I do think, honestly, that at the end of consolidation with what we have, new rules, new setup, I think it'll actually be more enjoyable. And a lot of the fear talk that's out there, you get that. But I think once we get through this, I think people will enjoy it. And so I just want it to happen and get over with.
I'm starting to hear rumblings again that people are talking about Gonzaga. They're talking about UConn, San Diego State for basketball. Is there? You guys have been on Greg's show more than I have recently. Do you get the impression that there's a reason these things keep coming up, or is it people just wanting to keep their individual stories, things they care about, alive?
I'm
That's
sorry,
to either one of you.
I'm not sure I follow. Like, what stories are we talking about again? Like you
So
saying,
I'm here. People are sending me messages, DMs on Twitter saying, "Hey, I'm hearing about Gonzaga to the Big 12 again."
Oh, yeah, that
These are
came out.
people. These are people that are okay. I'm not saying it's a secret.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to get at is, how does this keep happening? What is keeping it alive? Is it just people in Spokane that keep leaking? Because I'm hearing from different people all over the place.
I don't know. From what I heard at the end of that, it was Gonzaga was putting it out, but I don't think they'd be putting it out unless maybe someone reached out to them. So
Right.
my whole synopsis of it was based upon what I was looking at is I don't see them adding any basketball schools anytime soon. So if they're directing their presidents or their ADs to start looking at Gonzaga, like look into this, vet it, look at costs, all
Right.
this stuff. To me, it's kind of like, well, conveniently, Oregon State and Washington State are right up in that area, so a lot of your numbers and everything are going to be similar. But because I don't know, but I mean, maybe they're looking at it in the future. Maybe they're as part of this whole thing, they're going to also go after basketball schools because I think the ACC might do the same thing. Once they go down, they might want to go after some Northeastern basketball schools too. So there's a lot, and I think it's leaks coming from schools. Like no one's done.
Okay.
Like everyone's looking at the ACC right now. So
Moen, we've talked about the canary in the coal mine being Spokane and it being Gonzaga, but the real fire is in Pullman and in Corvallis. Do you see any chance any of this actually ends up moving after we get the ruling on the mediation for the Pac-12?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Nothing's going to happen until the ACC situation is straightened out.
Okay, and that can't happen until the Pac is settled, right?
That's right.
Right.
So,
Okay. All right. I'm always curious, not only from who the sources are for stories, but kind of what their agendas would be. Right. I try
Sure.
to think of, okay, what are you trying to accomplish by going through this process? And I admit I'm getting a little confused. I was very clear in my mind what I thought, what I was sure was going to happen eventually with realignment and with anything else. But the longer this goes, the more mucky it becomes. I've been kind of surprised because I thought Washington State and Oregon State after the mediation was done would be a slam dunk. And now today, I can't say as I feel the same thing. So, which is sad, by the way. I still think they should make that move, but I don't know. It's kind of a weird time right now.
Yeah, I've kind of learned to go in a backwards order when it comes to realignment after being, wrong so many times over a decade or so about little details. Is that I've tried to just find, okay, where do I think they're going? What's the
Right.
end goal? I try to get that figured out. That's the 2026 time. I'm not going beyond that.
Right.
2026, 2027. Because then leading up to their details, there's so many, heads at the table. There's no top authority in this, that things are not going to go necessarily in the most efficient way, the best way. Like it doesn't quite work out that way. So it's going to be kind of a jerky line of getting to where we are, not a straight line. So you got to be ready and prepared for things to happen that don't make a whole lot of sense, but you still try to figure out in the long haul about where this is going. And all these lawsuits coming out right now, I think those are they're kind of speeding up they're going to speed up the process a lot. So
Right.
as he's saying, we got the PAC lawsuit, and now we got the past NIL lawsuit, and now we've also got the employees lawsuit. These three right here, that's the game changers right there. So I'd watch that.
Do you guys have your questions set up for the show tomorrow night with Mitt?
I've got some in mind. I don't have them lined up directly, but
Okay. I would put him in priority because we're going to be diving in. Who knows how long he wants to stick around, right? He's a lawyer.
I also want to
after
have a
all, so-
little bit of leeway for like what he says to be able to kind of figure out other
Sure.
routes too, because he probably knows more about some stuff going on that we aren't even aware of at this point.
No, it's a fact he does.
Yeah,
I
this is
know
what
does.
he is an NIL
isn't-
lawyer. Like this
Yeah.
is his bread and butter. This was a good get. I'm looking forward to it very much.
Let's see. I want to know, what is this? If Bombers watched the movie, what movie? I think I might surprise you. Movies I've seen.
Rocky Horror
Mike.
Picture Show.
Oh yeah. I went there and threw food and all that fun stuff. It was a bunch of stupidness, but I went.
Gave
in
a
high
toast.
school. I refuse
That's-
to agree
that's-
to anything I did.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell anybody what I did. I refuse to do that. Mike Smith calling me out. Hey, Mike, I was more of a player than you might think before I settled down. Anyway, let's see here. Here's a question from Moen from Cleveland Rocks. He says, Moen, do you believe Ohio State will beat Michigan in the Big House? I have not been impressed with the Buckeyes this year, regardless of their record.
I think it's going to be a closer game than most people expect, but I think Michigan, if they're allowed to go to the conference championship game, will probably be the Big Ten champion this year. They returned way too much talent.
Yeah.
And Ohio State just doesn't have a competent quarterback. We've got Kyle McCord, who's a game manager. I mean, you look at what C.J. Stroud's doing in the NFL. Justin Fields took a step back this year, but what are you going to do? He's on the Bears.
Yeah.
Before that, it was Dwayne Haskins. Joe Burrow's transferred out. I mean, we've been spoiled with quarterbacks for the last decade. So it's hard to go to just a game manager like Kyle McCord now.
Yeah, it's going to be a low-scoring game.
I actually think. Well, I'm gonna say that the night before. I'll tell you guys what I think is gonna happen there. I'm going a little against the grain here. I think a little bit. Let's see. I do look good in the corset, BR. It's true. I've got a very fine figure that looks good in the corset. Mike, these guys are making fun of me. OPD on. So Bomber was like the preacher's son. I was not the preacher. My dad is not a preacher. Let's see. This is kind of fun. I don't normally read this many comments. We're over 500 comments, everybody, just so you know. Our discussion and review of everything. That's so many. I just can't. It's impossible for us to keep up. But I really appreciate everybody being involved tonight. Moen or Immaculate, is there anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Sure. Ohio passed recreational marijuana tonight. 30 days from now, Ohio has recreational marijuana. And
good for you.
Might be a little bit less dangerous at Ohio State games now. Then everyone's going to be nice and chill.
So at least if Michigan does beat Ohio State, nobody's going to be feeling it. So
yeah, that's pain management, man. I'm all for that. Yeah, I'm all for pain management. Immaculate, do you have anything else you want to say?
I mean, if we're still talking realignment, I might throw out a little endings list here for folks if they want to see it. I mean, if folks maybe think that there's only going to be 3, I'm watching these legal cases going on. I think shockingly, this could go as far as affecting. I want to watch the Ivy League. I need to see what's going on with their basketball team. So, folks, I don't want us to lose track of that one in the middle of these big ones. But yeah, I think this coming year, earlier in the year, we might have our announcement for the ACC schools that are leaving, and it could be anywhere from 6 to 10. So
I don't know.
It's going to be all at one time.
It's this year.
2024.
I mean, that's what I meant. This next calendar year.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Like as Moen said, it is dependent upon that pack thing getting settled. So that's been the big surprise for me, is that is still going. So I don't know if they actually can't come to an agreement or if they're stalling.
I think they may be. They may be stalling.
At this point, it might be like maybe they do have an agreement, but they're just stalling for some reason.
Well, maybe they don't want to. They have Florida State in the top 4. Why screw with that by making any announcements? They could just wait till after the season.
The pack, they might have an agreement in principle, and they're just waiting until the end of the season to announce.
Right. Mike Smith says Bomber looking to fight for a flight to Ohio first thing in the morning. Look, I'm surrounded. Okay, I can go to Colorado. I can go to Nevada. I don't think Arizona's legal yet, right? Arizona
It's legal in
doesn't,
Utah for medical reasons, right?
medical purposes.
Because one of the growers in Ohio is actually from Utah.
Yeah, you know they're taking all our water, and people are pissed about it. Can I just tell you that right now? Yeah, it's not good. Anyway, guys, I think we're gonna wrap this up. This has been a fantastic show. Thanks everybody for all the super chats. That would be Sergeant Pickles, Outlaw of College Football, and Sergeant Pickles. You guys are great. That'll help us keep the lights on. You hear that, when Greg says that or other people say, it's literally true. For the cost to keep all this going, for like the StreamYard and everything, this is really pennies, but it's appreciated pennies. So when you are giving money to a creator, that would be Coos, that would be Jason Watkins, that would be Cody Stovall, you would be Greg Flugar. That money is definitely really, it was earned. One, we put a lot of time into these shows, and two, it's basically just to keep us going. We're not writing checks and going buying cars or anything. So, all right, Mo, do you want to say anything else? Yet. That's right. You're gonna make me a millionaire. I know it. I believe that.
No, I don't have anything else. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We got packed shows tomorrow.
We do. Tomorrow's show. Yeah, we're going to start at 8 Eastern. We're going to prep for a half hour online so people can watch us, kind of talk about what we're going to talk about. And then Mitt's going to come on at 6:30. So we encourage everybody to be here for that. It's going to be an amazing show. Tell your friends. Let everybody else knows, because this guy doesn't do interviews. So the fact that he came and has done, just like Bob Thompson, doesn't do interviews to very few people. If you want to know stuff and you have legal questions, DM them to any of us on the team. And we'll consider those and possibly read them on the show. Other than that, we'll try to keep you informed with all that stuff that's going on. Everybody else, please subscribe, turn on your follows, and follow us on Twitter, and then turn on your notifications is what I meant to say. Everybody have a great night, and we will see you tomorrow night. Let's say peace, and let me get there and out.